This is Marco Reus.
This is Shinji Kagawa.
This is Nuri Shahin.
Hello, this is Jadon Sancho.
And you're listening to the Yellowwallpod podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 414 of the Yellowwallpod. I'm your host Stefan Butzko, and today we'll talk about Gio suffering a season-ending injury in a 2-0 win in Stuttgart, Erling Haaland's unwillingness to take MRIs. We will talk about Tom Rothe's dream debut against Wolfsburg, and we shall preview the greatest advert for the Bundesliga as excitement knows no bounds, with Bayern about to wrap up their 10th consecutive league title on matchday 31. For all that and more, joins me the meat and potatoes to my dinner date, Lars Pollmann. Hello, Lars. It's good to have you here.
Hello, Stefan. Good to know I'm food, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't really thought this one through. I'm sorry. But at least you're not the Kati Hummels to my dinner date. So there's that. Is that better? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Okay.
No. I did not follow the Mats Hummels dating history hijinks.
Man, that kept me up for days. Honestly, I had a laugh for like 2 seconds and I realized actually I don't care and it's none of my business and it's also not really interesting. And but if you want to talk about it, you can be my guest. I'm sure people out there are interested in this. But in the meantime, since Matthias was out with a non-COVID illness last week and couldn't make it, we still have to sort of gloss over the Stuttgart win. And I guess the main takeaway from that is that Gio Reyna, after telling Nobby Dickel how strong his leg is, picked up another injury 53 seconds or so with the first sprint to the game. Pretty heartbreaking, more tears for the, 17, 18-year-old? Maybe even 19 by now, I've lost track. Your thoughts, comments on that game and Gio Reyna's, future, what course of action you'll see from him, other than being out for the rest of the season and hopefully having a good, summer recovery and then begin anew with the next season. Sorry, dumb question, but here you go.
I mean, first of all, that was like 5 questions. And second of all, thanks for actually telling me before the show that we were going to talk about the Stuttgart game, which you failed to mention.
Sorry.
Because long-time listeners will know that my recall of these games is not among the best, even when the games only took place a couple of days ago. And now the Stuttgart game, that's more than a week. So I barely remember anything outside of Reyna coming off after, as you said, 2 minutes or so. Julian Brandt replacing him, scoring a Bundesliga record early Joker goal, as we would say in German. So a goal as a substitute after, 14 minutes?
I think it was 12.
Yeah, him on the pitch 12, but I think it was in the 14th minute, which would make the Bundesliga record. Then Stuttgart had a few chances to equalize, but not too many. Brandt scored his second with Florian Müller making a customary half mistake, so not necessarily a blunder, but still a good goalkeeper probably has that. And then Stuttgart really coming on late, but not finding the goal that probably would have made things interesting. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that we necessarily need to talk about the game, which in the grand scheme of things is pretty unimportant for Dortmund anyway. And I mean, what can you say about Reyna other than let's hope the worst is behind him now? I mean, as soon as I saw him come off the pitch, I think I said, just shut him down until, next season starts, basically. I mean, even if his injury had proved to be minor, if he had been able to come back for, let's say, the last couple of matches or whatever, I think it would make the most sense to just shut him down, give him all the rest this season. I mean, what good would it have done for him to play, the Berlin match on match day 34? I mean, not much to look forward to in that regard. So makes most sense. And now, I mean, I guess the decision has been taken out of their hands with his injury anyway. Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's a completely lost season, which is never good, but especially not good for a teenager, which is the cop-out answer for I don't remember how old he is either. Especially considering that I think it's pretty fair to say that Marco Rose is a big fan of Reina's. I think recently, ahead of his second comeback, if you want to call it that, I think he, meaning Rose, said that Reina has, world-class potential or whatever, which, I mean, I'm not sure I agreed with that high of a praise necessarily, considering what we've seen over the first 2 seasons or so of Reina in professional football. So yeah, I mean, he would have had a massive role in this team, probably spelling Royce a bit more than they were able to eventually. So one has to hope that, as I said, the worst is behind Reina and he can have a good summer prep, as you said, get it back in the right frame of mind also, because I'm pretty sure this is all weighing down on him quite a bit in terms of, his emotions. I mean, you never want to see a guy cry coming off the pitch twice in 2 months or whatever it was. So yeah, I think having, a lot of time off and probably not thinking too much about football will probably do him some good. And then just have to wait and see how he can bounce back next season, because even if I don't think necessarily he has world-class potential, he certainly has the potential to help this team next season, and I guess they are also kind of banking on that.
Yeah, I think they were already banking on him to replace some of the 50 goals and 68 assists that Jadon Sancho contributed in 137 games for Dortmund, obviously. I think in 77 games, Gio has scored 10 goals and 12 assists, if I'm not mistaken. So not quite the same numbers, I would say, but I assume the club wanted to see a step up, and I think this easily would have been on the cards as well if he had a normal season. And I think had Gio Reyna had a normal season with a lot of availability, maybe Dortmund's season overall would have had a bit of a different structure, let's say, just from a cohesive standpoint, because it's been a very uncohesive season. Injuries certainly played a major part in that. I mean, if we look at the numbers, Gio played 647 minutes for Dortmund this season. He starred in 13 out of a total of 46 games. I already included the rest of the season now. From that 13 games, he started in 6. And yeah, so it's, 0 starts in the Champions League, one appearance in the Europa League, 1 appearance in the DFB Pokal. So, also when it comes to Dortmund's horrible cup season, his absence, I think, is felt there as well. And so, I really do hope that whatever is bothering him with muscular injuries, he can get a hold of during the summer and the off season, and then really attack next season and hopefully make it count. And I really hope that you talked about the mental aspect, that he can somehow draw strength out of this and maybe show even more maturity. But, I don't know what's going to happen with Gio. I'm just hoping for the best here, and I think so is everyone else. And I think this is pretty much all that there's to say about the Stuttgart game in particular. So, if we want to move on to the Wolfsburg game, before the Wolfsburg game at the news conference, I think Marco Rose raised a lot of eyebrows among people when he said that Erling Haaland currently does not want to take an MRI on his injured ankle. And he said, considering how the foot was basically pointing 90 degrees away from the leg and during that foul against Armenia during the international break, that something is probably damaged whether it be the capsule or a ligament or whatnot. But right now, I think he said that Haaland is battling through the pain on the training pitch and then taking a painkiller for the games. But yeah, certainly I thought it was very interesting to hear that the player is not taking an MRI. Lars, I have a lot of opinions about that, but I want to hear yours first.
I mean, first of all, looking down at my feet, they are also standing away from my leg by 90 degrees. So I don't know if that's necessarily a point of contention.
You're such a wise ass.
I mean, it's a bit stupid to not go for an MRI. I mean, unless he has like piercings that he can take out of his body, which I'm not sure is the case. I mean, he's not fooling anyone in terms of, hiding injuries ahead of like a transfer, because obviously every club will go through a fairly rigorous medicinal checkup before signing someone for a package of more than 300 million euros. And all clubs also are aware of his injury history, so it's not like going for an MRI right now and maybe being put out of action for the rest of the season would necessarily change too much in that regard. I guess if you want to put a positive spin on it, he doesn't want to end his season and presumably his Dortmund career on the injury bench. He wants to keep playing, which I guess is something that most footballers probably have in them. And I think it's fair to say that if he didn't plan on making a summer switch, he probably would be more open to the idea of his season ending early, but that's the way it is. I just think ultimately that Marco Rose making this point publicly is kind of, I don't know, half-assed in a way, because obviously he's the head coach and he can just tell Haaland, okay, you're not going for an MRI, then I'm not putting you in my starting 11 because I have a responsibility towards all my players and I can't be sure that you're up for playing right now. So as the head coach, I think you have more power in that situation than a player, and given the fact that there's so much abuse of painkillers going on in football, I didn't necessarily feel much sympathy for either party in that regard, because quite frankly for Dortmund the season is basically over, and it's even mathematically over now. After Leverkusen lost against Leipzig on Sunday, Dortmund have guaranteed a top 4 finish, so they are going to play Champions League football next season, get all the money that is involved with that. So I just would prefer my club, or any club for that matter, to on the side of responsibility towards all players, even very good ones like Haaland. And if things are this bad that he's afraid of taking an MRI because it's probably going to end the season, then the responsible thing to do would be just don't play him.
Yeah. Okay. That's also absolutely my opinion. I think it's asinine to actually play him then. I think when you make it public that the player doesn't want to take an MRI, then to also play him and saying that he's taking painkillers is just showing your irresponsibility. And if you are, in a season where you, I think, have a record of 29 muscle injuries, if we count Hazard's as well now, or 30 now, and people are continuously asking about your injury record and scratching their heads what exactly is going on. It seems just very irresponsible to me, and it's annoying me that it's been handled that way, because I think you need to be more resolute and just say, okay, if you do not take the MRI, then you're not going to play, or keep it a secret, But yeah, half-ass is probably the best answer. And on the other hand, there were reports that Team Haaland, so his advisor and his agent, making sure that the previous injury that he had during the January time also wasn't really made public what exactly he had. I don't know if that helps to secure a 300 million euro deal or not. But at the same time, if someone fouls you the way like the Armenian player did in that particular international friendly, and if you then have a damaged ankle, I don't think you can be dubbed injury prone. That was just a very harsh foul or tackle or whatever you want to call it, and I don't think that makes you more or less injury prone than any other player, to be honest. So yeah, also in that regard, I think it's just silly to try to hide a potential injury. But for now, I think it's not much longer our problem in regard to Erling Haaland. I think reports this week at least, including Mr. Ornstein, said that Man City and Haaland have found an agreement, sort of, or a closing in, whatever that means. So I'm hoping sooner than later we will have an announcement that Haaland goes to Manchester City, and then we have other transfer sagas to focus on, I guess. But yeah, in the meantime, it's annoying that we have all these side battles with Haaland, and yeah, I think you could hear it in the stadium too when he scored the first goal, that the euphoria for Haaland scoring goals is not at an all-time high right now, because I feel like a lot of people are just rather peeved with the shenanigans surrounding Haaland and his dragging out exit. All right, so other than that, I thought it was a very nice and fun game against Wolfsburg, because it always is somehow against Wolfsburg, and 6-1 wins obviously are very much fun. Last, we have a debut to discuss, because due to yet another muscle injury of Torgen Hazard, Marco Rose decided to start 17-year-old Tom Rothe from the beginning, and I don't know if Tom Rothe will be a world beater or a solid Bundesliga player, or not even that, but all I know is it was fun to watch a young face and him having that success. So what are you making of his debut and the record he broke?
I mean, first of all, to fulfill my role of Debbie Downer a little bit anyway, I'm not giving Marco Rose too much credit for putting Rothe in the starting lineup, because obviously, as you said, Hazard was a late miss in this game, and Nico Schulz only returned from injury, I think, during the week building up to the Wolfsburg game. So it was really kind of last chance saloon. Also Felix Passlack missing still, so there were really not many viable options. Let's put it that way. And other than that, I think it's nice, as you said, to see a fresh face. I think this is something that I was actually arguing for weeks now, because basically their season was over, I don't know, when they drew with Cologne, for example, or maybe even earlier. I mean, it was obviously over earlier, but they have to keep up appearances, I guess. But they have, without question, the best under-19 team in Germany. They are by far favorites to win the playoffs in the under-19 Bundesliga. They are in the under-19 Cup final. They did really well in the UEFA Youth League this season for once, which usually was kind of an Achilles heel for Dortmund and German teams in general. So, I mean, there's a plethora of options to choose from, and it's nice to see that not only Rothe but also Leon Simic and Jamie Bino-Gittens got their first game time with the pros. And obviously the situation as it presented itself, I guess, pushed Rothe in the limelight earlier than everyone expected. Certainly myself didn't expect that to happen. I think in the first, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes, or the first few touches he had, I think you could see, a bit of nervousness, which is to be expected, obviously, having never played in front of 79,000 and whatever
200
fans. Yeah, just something that I guess it takes getting used to. It's not like I can speak from experience in that regard. I think he settled down nicely even before scoring the goal, and then obviously being a big lad for a left back, he was in the mix when Brandt whipped in that corner, and made a pretty nice run actually. I mean, showed nice movement in the box to get away from his marker and connected with the ball with his head, and is now the youngest ever debut goal scorer. I think that's the record you allude to.
Yeah. He's not the youngest outright goal scorer, but the youngest goal scorer to score on his debut. I think it's 17 years and 169 days. So there you go. Congrats. You know, it's a nice achievement, and obviously really happy. Again, does this mean that Dortmund will build around Tom Rothe and have him in his future plans? Probably not. I don't know. But either way, I think it's super nice to see young talent, and you know, it's funny. Obviously, Dortmund conceded this massive chance that Kobel saved in the third or fourth minute. I forgot who took this shot.
Metcher.
Lucas, right? Not the other one.
The other one came on in second.
Yeah, I didn't even know he had a brother that also played for Wolfsburg. But yeah, fantastic save by Kobel, as has been the norm this season for pretty much most of the time. And then after 24 minutes, Rothe scored, and then you had Witze scoring at the end of a counterattack, which was to me very funny. Then another set piece goal, Manuel Akanji, I think, just poking the ball away from Erling Haaland. Then you had Emre Can with a nice shot from distance in the 34th minute, and I think we can say that Koen Casteels also did not have his best day. And then finally Haaland scored in the 38th minute after a nice assist by Marco Reus, and then the sixth also came via Julian Brandt, and also nice assist. I think also very well taken goal by Haaland. Don't want to take any credit away from that. And once it was 6-0, I assumed that maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes later we would at least see one of Bino Gittens and or Semic, but wasn't the case. I don't know if I want to call that vexing or not, but I thought this would have been the perfect stage for these youngsters to make their first appearance, because I don't think even with them on the field that this very much rattled VfL Wolfsburg team would have had any sniff at coming back into this. But so they came on in the 88th minute or so, and there were 1.5 minutes left, and you know the German mercy rule. It's when the referee just blows the whistle with like 5 seconds still on the clock. And I think one Wolfsburg player was injured. So I don't know if any one of those even got a touch, which is kind of annoying, because you do want to watch these players a little bit, because especially when you listen to other experts, say Dirk Krampe, for example, who has a ear more closely to Borussia Dortmund. I think he was talking about that he is very much more in Dortmund's plans and future plans. So a glimpse into Dortmund's future would have been nice. But we didn't quite get that. But still, I think it's nice for these 17-year-olds to, be on the football pitch and breathe in some Bundesliga air. And before I stop waffling, I also want to mention, I think that Dortmund had a record with 3 17-year-old players on during a Bundesliga game. I don't think that ever happened before. And there's that. So youth is still a thing in Dortmund. And with that, I am out of things to say about the Wolfsburg game, other than it was a nice sunny day and it was nice to, reward the fans.
Only thing is, I think I recall Semic not actually being 17. Might want to fact check that.
Well, not with Semic, but with Moukoko, sorry.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, that's... I don't know why I mixed it up, but yeah, Moukoko is also 17.
I don't know that you did. I think I just assumed it was about Semic and forgot Moukoko exists, because he doesn't really get much game time these days.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all I have. Anything else on that particular game that stood out to you, that was fun to you?
I think it's funny that Dortmund won a game by a margin of 5 goals, scoring 6, and you could easily make the case that Gregor Kobel was their best player on the day, because he made that massive save against the match after 3 minutes. He had another massive save in the second half. Always alert, always available. I think just in general, I don't know if that's necessarily topical, but I kind of thought about Kobel the last few days with these rumors about Schlotterbeck, for example, flying around, and I struggle to find any negatives in Kobel's form in the second half of the season. So I think just a nice reminder that they got a good one there, and he seems to be progressing well also from a performance standpoint, because obviously when you sign a new number one goalkeeper, you expect them to be an improvement on the situation before, which wasn't too hard considering Dortmund played the shell of Roman Bürki and Marvin Hitz last season. But I think Kobel, being a very young goalkeeper, one of the youngest starting goalkeepers in the Bundesliga, I think there was a bit of a learning curve in the first half of the season, and as I said, I can't really remember any like major issues in the second half of the season, so that's just nice to see, I guess.
Yeah, no, it is. It certainly is, and that even in those games, Gregor Kobel is there when you need him. I mean, the one goal that Dortmund did concede by Riedle Baku, I think it was just an excellent strike. I think it's more on Zagadou not covering of that corner than anything else. But if Pongracic doesn't have this very weird double touch, I don't think we would be even talking about any chance for Wolfsburg, to be honest. That was just a glaring error. And maybe a lack of focus. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but it's funny that it's Pongracic who I think was booed when he touched the ball every time by the 1,000 Wolfsburg fans that made the trip graciously. So Anywho, that's pretty much it. You already talked about Nico Schlotterbeck. I think there are more and more reports that this deal is as close as it can be without him actually having made a signature. Obviously, yesterday during the move to the cup final after beating Hamburg 3-0 or so, or 3-1, he said that he is not discussing this or, whatever. But I think we can all assume and expect that he will be around in the Dortmund shirt next season. Lars, I'll be honest, is something that really excites me. Someone posted a screenshot of the axis of Kobel, Süle, and Schlotterbeck, and I don't know. For me personally, that's exciting. I saw someone asking you on Twitter whether he's actually any good or more in the vein of other Freiburg players, for example, Bürki or Maximilian Philipp, who were okay-ish, but not on the level that Dortmund really expected it to work out, or you can even lump Matthias Ginter in there. What is your feeling and tendency of Schlotterbeck joining Dortmund if it so happens? I wrote rather on Twitter that it's the most excited I've been about a transfer since Gregor Kobel, which obviously isn't long at all, but I mean, if you remember back how I waxed poetic about Kobel's joining Dortmund, then it's basically the same level of excitement, which you can tell from the monotone way I'm speaking right now. No, I think there's little argument to be made that Schlotterbeck wasn't one of the, let's say, 3 or 4 or 5 best centre halves in the Bundesliga this season. He is still young, huge potential, but also already showing great performances, albeit in a very stable environment in Freiburg, which is obviously conducive to good performances. And I guess at times Freiburg is more a sum of the parts than, the huge individual quality of all players. But I think Schlotterbeck is more of an exception there. I basically can't see a way that guy doesn't work out at Dortmund. The only thing, perhaps, just stylistically, because he likes to defend on the front foot quite a bit, and
We know that Dortmund have trouble sometimes with a high line. I wouldn't be surprised if the defensive axis, as you called it earlier, wasn't actually Kobel, Süle, Schlotterbeck only, but rather those three and a third center half, Can or Mats Hummels being the most likely options there. We are all assuming, I kind of think that Schlotterbeck is only going to come because Akanji is going to leave, and that's more or less a wash in terms of transfer fees. At least we can expect that because they are also both under contract until 23. Akanji moving to England might net a little bit more than Freiburg will get from Dortmund for Schlotterbeck, but let's just call it a wash. So he's going to be out of the picture, Akanji is. So I'm kind of expecting, at least in the big games against good opposition, I wouldn't be surprised anyway if Dortmund were still playing with a back three.
Yeah, no, neither am I. Whether it's Zagadou if they extend his contract or Hummels in there, or maybe they find yet another center back somehow, maybe from their own youth ranks, or I don't know. But I'm fairly certain that at some point we will see the axis that I just described, because it is tradition over the last, I don't know how many seasons, that you get so many different backlines out of Dortmund just because of all the injuries, left, right, and center. I have a hard time imagining also that, for example, Nico Süle stays healthy for an entire season without any muscular injury or other little boo-boos here and there. So it's just what it is, and I hope that next season these players can all stay healthy for a longer period, because I really want to see some consistency and the resulting cohesion from that. I think that alone would make big leaps in terms of improving Dortmund's playing style and addressing some of the issues. And yeah, I also think that Schlotterbeck's passing is excellent. I think he has great vision of the field, and I like when he roams forward with the ball. It looks like he has quite a sweet dribbling touch, and yeah, makes him a very modern center back. I think at the same time there will be some mistakes, as is common, but I will I will allow that. I'm already saying it now that coming for the next season, I will be a bit more tolerant when it comes to center backs screwing up and making mistakes, especially when it comes to Schlotterbeck. Not because I'm lowering my standards, but I don't know. I'm a bit more relaxed, I feel like, personally. Maybe that changes again, but for now, I'm thinking, especially if Dortmund play a lot of more young players, be it Gittens or whatnot, I will actually lower my expectations for overall quality of play, and hope that that the overall development over a year or two is more conducive than to criticize every little error and nitpick. I think as a fan base or overall pressure that gets exuded on players, maybe reduce that a little. But again, the deal is not done yet, but reports are indicating that obviously Freiburg still have a cup final to play and a lot of important games. They can still qualify for the Champions League. So, I'm not expecting any announcements before that, to be honest. But otherwise, exciting times. There is also reports of progress in the Adeyemi causa. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I've also heard reports from, I think, Sport 1 that Dortmund are interested in Bensebaini from Gladbach. And I'll be honest, I absolutely do not rate Bensebaini one bit. I think he's a terrible player. I don't know. I've watched him too many times this season, and I'm absolutely not impressed. So that's not a transfer I would really like. I already said beforehand that I'm also not the biggest Adeyemi fan. Last, also Dortmund are linked with various number 6s. Xaver Schlager is the latest one. What are your thoughts on him?
Good player. shocking attitude towards COVID and vaccinations and all that. So no, thank you.
All right, yeah, that's sort of my take too. So yeah, I guess keep us posted, Dortmund, with transfer rumors. I hope they can find someone else. And yeah, what else is there? The game against Bayern Munich this Saturday. I don't even remember the last time Dortmund won at the Allianz Arena. Honest.
I do.
When was it?
I mean, I don't remember the year, but I remember it being a 3-0 Jonas Hofmann scored, so like 2015.
Oh, was that the dead rubber where Bayern already wrapped up the title?
Yeah, and I think it was not even the late afternoon kickoff, but that might be mistaken. But it was certainly one of those games where Bayern just couldn't be asked, and Dortmund kind of, got away with it, I guess.
Yeah. All right, good for you to remember that particular game. So I thought about it a little bit because obviously there is some significant factor which is already hyped, is that if Bayern win this game, they will also wrap up the 10th title, as I said in the intro. Now, obviously, winning in Munich and beating Bayern Munich is always fun, and watching Bayern lose is always fun. I really enjoyed them crashing out of the Champions League. There is a certain level of Schadenfreude that I cannot deny. But at the same time, Lars, and maybe critique my thoughts here a little, but I think maybe it's a good experience for Dortmund players to watch Bayern celebrate the title in their faces. Maybe that's something they need to gain some extra motivation, and maybe a traumatic event like that can catalyze something, just like the cup final loss for Bayern did in 2012. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not sure, but those are my hopes and my thoughts about this game. So if Dortmund lose, I'm not going to be entirely mad, hoping that they will gain something positive out of this. What do you think?
I think that's a very, very positive, almost naive way of looking at things.
Maybe.
Which I don't necessarily subscribe to, but I also didn't really listen to all you said because I was looking up when this game, I half remember actually was, and it was April 2014, but still a 3-0 win, and Jonas Hofmann did score. So
while you're there, when was the last relevant game that Dortmund won in Munich in the Bundesliga?
I'm only looking on my phone, Stefan. You are overestimating my capacity right now. But it can't be in the last few years, because we all know the story goes. Dortmund play Bayern pretty close at home, sometimes win, sometimes with a bit of Felix Zweier magic lose. And then they go to Munich and say this is the year, and they get pumped, 5, 6, however many goals. And honestly, I struggle to find reasoning to expect any different this time around. I mean, we know the title clinching scenario for Bayern, which I don't know that they necessarily need more motivation. When Dortmund comes to Munich, they pretty usually play pretty hard. Obviously, the Champions League exit against Villarreal is still stinging them a little bit, so I'm pretty sure they want to make a point out of winning the title in style against Dortmund of all teams. I think the DFL schedule makers are going to slap themselves on the backs for a good idea to put this game on the 31st match day, because a title clinching scenario in the biggest game of the season, I suppose that's something that non-Dortmund fans can appreciate, is quite interesting. And, given the personnel situation of Dortmund, I just wouldn't be surprised if this followed the same script as always, which is Bayern score early, Bayern score a lot, Dortmund get run over a little bit, even though sometimes they even go ahead, I guess, against Bayern. But still, within all the possibilities of this game, I struggle to pick out the one where Dortmund come away with a good result, not even a win, but a decent result. I just can't see it.
Yeah, so I just looked at it, and the last relevant wins really are the 1-0 in 2012, I think, and no, 2011 actually, sorry, and the 3-1 in 2011. So the 1-0 was a goal where there was some controversy because Götze, before he scored, I think grazed the ball with his hand. And the other one was obviously the Mitch Langerack game where I think Lucas Barrios scored the first one and Nuri Sahin had an absolute belter. And I think Mats Hummels scored a header. And then Jürgen Klopp's glasses broke as they all cheered at the final whistle. That was a tremendous game and super fun, but also, it's been a very long time is what I'm trying to say. Now, you already teed me up with players that might be absent. Obviously, Gregor Kobel had get together. No, he clashed together with Jude Bellingham during training on Tuesday and was missing today, which is Wednesday. So he is doubtful for the game. So also not present are Dan-Axel Zagadou, Marius Wolf, Daniel Mahlen, Mo Dahoud, Torgen Hazard, and Gio Reyna, Thomas Meunier, and Mathieu Moret. Also, Witzel might be out, so that's a very long list. So I don't know what to make of this, but might as well throw in the youngsters all from the beginning. I don't know. I'm beyond caring. I know it's the big game. It's the Up There Klassiker, and it's going to be on even national television here in the United States. But I'm very much over when it comes to the season. To me, the most important game is going to be the game against Dynamo Kiev on the 26th of April. And if you're in Germany, maybe buy a ticket and go there. I think that's way more important than this Bayern game. You said before Dortmund already wrapped up the Champions League qualification, and I'm pretty sure over the final 3 match days, regardless of the result against Bayern, that they will also wrap up second place. So I'm not really too concerned. That might, if you want a prediction out of me, I'm going to say 4-2 to Bayern. I'm pretty sure that maybe Haaland will have a brace or Royce or whatnot will score here and there because Bayern's defense is also not entirely settled. But at the same time, I think it's going to be the same out where Robert Lewandowski will just absolutely punish Dortmund. And it's maybe one question I have for you. Are you personally hoping that Robert Lewandowski is leaving Bayern Munich at the end of the season or next season in order to evade the punishment, the biannual punishment by our previous striker?
I mean, I think the best scenario for Dortmund would be him leaving in 23 because that would mean Bayern would struggle a bit anyway financially to come up with the best solution to replace him. Because if he were to leave, let's say for Barcelona this season, they get a sizable fee for a player who's going to be 34 in August, I think, or September, something like that anyway. And my headcanon, if you like, is that Bayern would go ahead and sign Christopher Nkunku of Leipzig, which I guess in a way would also help Dortmund because Dortmund are much closer to Leipzig in terms of competing with them for stuff than with Bayern. But yeah, if in isolation for the matchup between Bayern and Dortmund, I think it would be best if Lewandowski stayed on until 23 and then they struggle to come up with a follow-up plan. But I mean, either way, it's not going to matter too much in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It'd just be nice to, but then again, Ribéry is long gone, Arjen Robben is long gone, and Dortmund are still not beating Bayern by any stretch. So, yeah, there's that. Your prediction before we get the heck out of here?
6-2 Bayern.
All right. Okay. Yeah, it's not completely unrealistic. And with that, this very fun episode is brought to an end. I thank everyone for tuning in and for listening. And of course, I very much thank you, Lars, for lending us your expertise and your unlimited enthusiasm. And we shall be back with the review of the Bayern game next week. And that is that. Goodbye.